Good morning, team. Welcome to this week's Thursday Thought, brought to you from the car. This week I had a workshop earlier in the week about the functions of behaviour with a group of mums at the Goulburn Library, and I felt like it was some good content that we got chatting about that was worthwhile sharing for more to hear. And coming across different behaviours all the time is a part of our everyday lives. Whether you've got children or whether you don't have children, we still experience the behaviours of other people and of ourselves all the time. So a little bit of understanding about the function of behaviour I think is helpful for us to be able to determine what's going on when somebody's behaving a certain way. Because when we know why they are doing what they're doing, it helps us respond rather than react, and it helps us come up with some interventions for behaviour change if that's our goal, if we are a parent or an educator for that matter. So there are a few main functions that we typically see in behaviour, and the functions can be to gain something or to escape something or avoid. So we might try to be gaining the attention, say, of an adult or of a peer, which could be a sibling or another child in a social context. So we might be looking for their attention, so we might use a certain behaviour to try and gain it, or we might try and avoid it. So we might use a behaviour like running away or hiding to try and avoid attention. So that's one of the functions that we could see. Another one is to gain or avoid an item. So that could be, for example, if I'm hungry and I'm wanting to seek a food, or perhaps I want to seek an item like a technology source or a specific toy, a sensory tool, something like that, I could choose a certain behaviour that might enable me to gain that, or might enable me to avoid using that if I don't want to do it and it's something you're wanting me to do. Similarly, we could gain or avoid a task. So it could be something simple like you've been asked to brush your teeth, and you might use a behaviour to avoid doing that. Or you might use a behaviour to try and get an activity you want, like watching more time on the television or extending your time on a technology device or something like that. And finally, you might avoid or gain a sensory task. So there might be something that meets your sensory need that you might be trying to gain, or there might be something that you need to avoid to meet your sensory need. So a good example of that is when we're in a noisy environment and we just want to remove ourselves from that environment and go outside where it's quieter. That's an example of avoiding a sensory task or environment. So functions of behaviour are important, and there's a lot more to it and a lot more to understanding how to come across what those functions are and then how to intervene, but really trying to be a bit of a behaviour detective rather than a behaviour judge who's just determining that this behaviour is naughty or this behaviour is not accepted. Sometimes it pays to just be a little bit curious about why the behaviour is occurring and what that function could possibly be, because that helps us come up with ways to be able to intervene and provide alternate functions that are more acceptable or something we want to encourage behaviour change. So be a behaviour detective. Have a great week, everyone. Bye.